You're listening to the Make Mental Podcast. You know, one thing I've learned while running Make Mental is that the conversations are the easy part. It's creating content and getting it out there that takes the most time and energy. That's why I started working with C3 Socials, and honestly, they have been a lifesaver. They've been running my Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for the past few months, and in just the last 90 days, over 350,000 people have visited my Instagram alone. But the numbers aren't even the best part. It is the time and energy that I've gotten back. Chandler, the owner, is super personable and always available. Seriously, it's crazy how hands-on she is. So if you're trying to grow your brand or just free up some headspace while getting results, check out C3 Socials. Tell them Make Mental sent you because they've helped me tremendously, and I cannot recommend them enough. Hello again, beautiful people, and welcome back to this episode on the Make Mental Podcast. As always, I'm Caleb Munsky, and today's guest is someone who lives at the intersection of pressure, performance, and passion. She's a Division I athlete at Clemson University, competing in one of the most mentally demanding sports there is, gymnastics. A sport where perfection is expected, mistakes are magnified, and everything you've worked for can come down to a matter of seconds. But this year, she didn't just compete, she won. She's a recent ACC champion, which is a testament not just to her physical ability, but her discipline, resilience, and her ability to show up when it matters most. But like most athletes, behind the routines, behind the scores, and behind the moments on the podium with your teammates, there's a story about pressure, about identity, about what it really takes to keep going when everything in you feels stretched. So today, we're not just talking about sports and gymnastics, we're talking about the mental side of becoming great. This is a conversation with Trinity Webb. Trinity, thank you so much for joining us here today on the Make Mental Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on this and share a little bit of my story.
Yeah, so what is your story for those who don't know?
Okay, so I guess we can start from the beginning of my college gymnastics career. So I graduated from a very small little high school in Missouri early. So I graduated in December of 2023 when I was supposed to graduate in the fall or the spring of 2024. I drove down to Clemson the day after Christmas, 17 hours, and that's when it all started. So I came early to be on the first ever gymnastics team of Clemson University, and I was a 17-year-old, so I was super young for my grade already. So I came to college super young, and it was really hard, honestly. So that entire year, I made it into lineups the first 2 weeks that I was at Clemson, which was really cool. I was on bars, I was doing beam, I was doing all around, and things were going great. It was just really hard for a 17-year-old to kind of get pushed into that environment, not really knowing what you're expecting or knowing what you're ready for. So ended that year, came into the next year, made it all the way through preseason, was ready to do almost all 4 events. And then I have had some shoulder issues in the past and got an MRI, and my labrum was completely shredded, 365 degrees, all the way gone. So about 3 weeks before season started, I had to get pretty in-depth surgery. So I got surgery on my labrum and rotator cuff. So they shaved off a little bit of my rotator cuff and then put 6 anchors in on my shoulder. So that was alone so hard. And then going into a season when you were expecting to compete and be great and reach all your goals, to being in a sling and just having to kind of watch on the sidelines was really hard mentally and just kind of tough being, just kind of pulled all the way back. So that was hard, and it kind of just made me hit a brick wall mentally and physically with my entire identity getting wrapped up into the sport. And then come to this year, I was so excited. We got new coaches. It was a brand new, fresh start. I was honestly more excited than you could imagine. Again, 2 weeks before season, I made it all the way through preseason. I was ready to compete all 4 events, and I sprained the crap out of my ankle. So that honestly made it so hard for me because I had already set all these expectations of what the year was going to look like for me and how I wanted to succeed in every part of gymnastics, and to kind of just getting so lost in who I was and what my worth was outside of the gym. But here we are. We made it through. We're doing so much better. And I honestly have found so many different hobbies in life. And it's not all about gymnastics, which is really cool. So, and we just won the ACC championship, so we're still running on a high.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
amazing story, and a lot of it is what you'd expect from a typical athlete, but a lot of it isn't. And I kind of want to talk about those parts before we dive into something that a lot of people might have experienced. One, you mentioned you graduate early. I know that's becoming, I wouldn't say a trend, more and more of a normalcy these days once you're done with school, so you can get into your programs. But the thing that I think is new to a lot of people is the fact that you stepped into a fresh program. There was no legacy before you. There was no blueprint to follow at that institution at Clemson. Where before you got injured, obviously, and then when you got injured, where did that passion and where did that drive come from to say, yeah, I want to compete at Clemson, even though there wasn't a storied history in gymnastics?
Yeah, so I had a pretty amazing club career. Honestly, I was top 7 in the country on bars, and I had a lot of visits at colleges and stuff, but there was something about Clemson that really kinda just drove me towards it. It was about how I could create a legacy and I could, be the foundation of something new, which was it was just cool to me. Like, it was something that for some reason I didn't really think about. I just kind of knew. I was like, yeah, like I think I want to go there. What was really hard for me was to commit to coming early. So I was someone that really liked my dogs at home and like being home with my mom and everything. Committing to coming 6 months early was really hard for me. But then once made that commitment, I was honestly really scared. So I was young already for my grade. I was just scared coming into a new group of girls, had no friends, I didn't know any of these people. But coming in, I knew that I wanted to be on team 1 and being able to compete at that first meet, which is honestly so rare for like anyone rather than a freshman that's been there for 2 weeks to compete. It was incredible. And the fans that we have in Littlejohn was just I think that's what really drove me towards it was like the fans are just amazing. Like, it was sold out, 9,000 people, like, it was incredible.
Yeah, that's a lot of people staring at you for the first
Yeah.
time ever, right? Not knowing
Yeah,
what to
as a
expect.
little 17-year-old, didn't know anything, going from these quiet club meets.
Yeah, you mentioned building the foundation of something new, and I think that is very powerful. Was there ever moments where being part of something fresh, besides your injury, obviously we'll get into that, but being part of something so fresh was a little heavier than you might have expected and not as just
Oh, yeah.
exciting?
It was really, really hard because when I got onto there, a lot of the girls were very do things this way, do things the right way. And it was just a lot of pressure for someone that honestly had no idea what they were walking into. And I think that the coaches that we had at that time were persistent on the way that they wanted things done and very involved in everything you do. So it wasn't like you were a person outside of gymnastics, it was you are gymnastics. And I think that's something that I struggled with a lot because someone that has 3 older sisters, I've seen them go to college, I've seen them have fun. I didn't have that experience at first. It was honestly just a lot of stress being away from home, going straight into season, going to college classes. Like, I was not prepared for college classes. Like, let me just say, like, it was really hard. So, on that part, yeah.
Yeah, again, and then you have the stress that comes with being the first or
Right.
on the granted you had other women to do it with, but it's still a struggle even when you're together, right? Especially because you're in a team sport, even though gymnastics does take team scores, you have to do your individual routine, sort of
Right.
like track. Whereas team sports, for instance, me with soccer, I just have to play my position. Well, your position is by yourself. There's no other teammates
Mhm.
on the field or on the mat or the bar or whatever you're on.
Yeah. It's a lot of eyes. It's a lot of eyes on you.
Correct. Correct. Can you walk us through what that feels like when the lights are low and the spotlight's on you and it's just I think you said you did the
Bars.
balance? The bars. Okay,
Bars,
just
yeah.
you and the bars. I was gonna say the beam, but you and the
Yeah.
bars.
Okay, so this is honestly something that is like one of the it's like a feeling you can't really explain. So in club it's very different cuz it's like, everyone's going at the same time. Like there's so many girls in the arena and it's different. But coming into college I wasn't prepared for there's literally 9,000 people and you're the one person on the mat that's going at that whole time. And it's just like you can feel everyone's eyes piercing on you, but at the same time it's like it's a beautiful moment to be like, I made it here. Like I did it. Like, all of the 18 years of stress and honestly, like, not going to school, not going to friends' houses, parties, missing all of it, it's like, it feels worth it in this moment.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I thought it's a very euphoric feeling.
Yeah, and it's hard to describe unless you've been there.
Exactly, yeah.
Even at a smaller institution where there's maybe 100 people or 50 people, it just feels like time stops
Yeah.
and everything gets really quiet, and even the roar or the cheer of the crowd or even the boos if you're away, to be honest, it just doesn't seem as loud.
Yeah.
But when you watch it back or you listen back, you're like, "Holy shit, there was a lot of
Yeah.
people here," right? And that's
Yeah.
when the nerves kick in, I find the most. If you can get past those first 5 seconds, 10 seconds, then your
Mhm.
nerves kinda go. But how do you handle those pre-routine nerves? Because obviously you have to go over your routine in your head and then step up, have all these eyes looking at you, know that your score impacts the team, know that you gave up 18, 17 years of your life to get here. How do you not let that just control your mind?
So, one of my biggest things is I always put my headphones in. So, like, not literally, but, like, when I'm running through my routines or I'm about to go, I put in my imaginary headphones and just, like, drown it out. And I really try to focus on being present on where I am and, like, focusing on me and, like, who I am. And a big thing that's helped me just because of things that I've struggled with the past is, like, I'm gonna be okay no matter how this routine goes, but I wanna go and, like, make it the best I can and be present in it and remember it. And I remember there was one time that I'd had a really rough week mentally. It had been hard, like, being away from home and stuff or something. And that Friday, it was a home meet and it was our military appreciation meet. And I just remember I put my headphones in and I was like, I feel like this is gonna be really good. I was like, I feel really good. I have so much faith in this right now. And that was the first time I ever got a 9.9. And it was one of the best feelings. Like, my entire team just surrounding me and, like, making me feel so good. Like, it was incredible. And I honestly feel like a lot of it is because I've had a lot of competition, like, anxiety in the past, and I still struggle with it sometimes, where I'll get shaky and just, like, my brain goes everywhere, and I think one of the things that mainly helps me is just, like, where are my feet? You know what I mean? Like, where are my feet standing right now? Like, where am I? Ground myself. I'm okay. Like, no matter how this goes, I'm gonna be okay, and I think that's always helped me.
Yeah, and that's so much wisdom for a younger athlete. Where does that come from?
I'd say, honestly, that comes from my mom a lot. She's helped me. She's been with me throughout my entire gymnastics career. She was the one who drove me to the morning practices at 6 a.m., then to school, then back, you know what I mean? Like, all of it. And I think with her, she's seen me struggle a lot and hold a lot of pain and a lot of perfectionism with myself and how much it hurts me. And the way that she has with her words with me and, like, how she connects them, it's beautiful. And I've always felt so connected to the advice that she gives me, honestly.
Yeah, I can relate to, like, a perfectionist attitude, but
Yeah.
why does it hurt? Why does it hurt so much when something doesn't go as you expected? Or I mean, in gymnastics, a 10 is about as rare as you can get, so a
Yeah.
9.9 is pretty perfect. You don't hit that every time. What hurts so much about that?
I would say that, like, even speaking on injuries and everything, it's just the fact that, like, you put so much dedication and so much of your worth and identity and just honestly, like, everything you have into this one thing, and when it doesn't go that way, it's just like I don't know how to explain it, but it's just sad. It's just like, did I not do enough? What happened? Like, I'm just sad. And especially when there was one time where we were at regionals and I was the first person up on bars, and I do my big skill and my grip slipped on my lower skill. I know you don't know the terms, but I'm on my pack, and I fell. And that was the first time I'd ever fallen all season. I never fell on that skill, and I remember getting off the bar, and I was like, did I just lose the meet? Like, what did I do? Like, I took all of that pressure onto myself as this little 17-year-old that just came into college and being like, I just destroyed it for everyone, like, all this stuff. And I remember there was one girl's mom that came up to me and just gave me a hug and was like, like, "I'm so proud of you. You got back up on the bar. You got back up, and look where the team is. Like, you're still doing it, and it's gonna be okay after this one time." Yeah, but it's still so hard.
Yeah, the fact that you got back up and it wasn't at the end of the routine is honestly incredible. So that mom was right. Well, I shouldn't give moms too much credit. I was gonna say moms are usually right, but we're not gonna give them that much credit. It's not Mother's Day yet, but
Exactly, exactly.
let's walk it back for a moment to when you first got in and then had your injury. You said so much of your identity was gymnastics, and honestly, probably still is. Tearing your labrum and then having this surgery forced you to slow down. What I want to know is obviously you're not thankful for an injury, but are you thankful for what you've learned from it? And then number two, do you think that a moment like that is almost essential to help you lose your athletic identity?
100%. Like, quite literally 100%. You could not have put that into better words. When I first tore my labrum, I was really struggling in gym with the fact that I just didn't feel good enough at all in any sort. I didn't feel like I felt like I was working so hard, but I wasn't getting anything. It just the entire time it was just constant like beating myself down the entire time. And I believe sometimes that when injuries happen, especially sudden injuries, that it's your body's way of kind of telling you that you need to slow down. I've always believed that, especially when I sprained my ankle. But when I got shoulder surgery, I think that it was definitely meant to happen because I was going down the path of just like, I'm not worth anything unless I have this sport with me. And so when I got that sport ripped out of my hands, it was more of like, when I come back, I'm going to be a lot more grateful. And when I'm able to like do it, I'm gonna do it all. Like I'm going to give my all. I'm not gonna do the like, because I think one of my biggest struggles is that sometimes I'm too scared to try all the way. Like I'm too scared that because I've had these injuries, I'm like scared that if I give my all and it's not gonna work, it's gonna hurt me even more. So I think I've struggled with that, but having these injuries and making it, take the sport out of my hands has made me like find so much of myself that I didn't even know was there.
Yeah, who did you find when the sport was stripped away?
I found a lot. I found a lot of hobbies. I found honestly like a love for myself again. I think I lost that for a long time just because being at this school has been pretty hard. I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about the coach's situation and a lot of that. So I think there's been a lot of pain in this school of my time here. So I think that when I was able to take a step back, it honestly just gave me so much freedom to, like, find myself and find joy, and I love doing things for me now, designing and piano and, like, flowers and just, like, all this stuff and fashion, like, I found so much love for
Was your designs on the wall back there?
Yeah, they are
Fancy.
actually.
What are they? Let's see. What are they?
So
A
they're
lady of some sort?
yeah, these are things that I, like,
Oh, wow.
customized. So it's just, like, I don't know, I thought they were really cool. And then
Yeah, it
I
is.
love designing my room and,
I
like,
was gonna say I thought it was
fashion.
like a TJ Maxx piece or something.
No, but this is my loved piano.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah, as athletes, we're obviously in our sport all the time, right? 24/7. It's the 2 hours away from the sport, it's the day off, it's the recovery practice that helps us find that joy and love for ourself again that you mentioned. I'm assuming obviously you're still competing. You didn't completely lose the love for gymnastics, so it's confusing, right? You
Mhm.
love what you're doing, but you don't necessarily love yourself while you're doing it. What the hell is that all about, right? How have you been able to combat that as a young athlete? I know when I went through college, I wasn't too long ago, but it's a little different than the current landscape of college athletics. How do you find love for your sport, but also yourself at the same time? Hey there. If you're still listening, I just want to pause for a second and say thank you. It means a lot to me that you're here, that you're giving your time to something that we're building together. If you haven't yet, I kindly ask you to subscribe to the podcast, turn on your notifications, and leave us a 5-star review. Every time you do, it helps us bring more amazing guests to these conversations, people who are here to share real insights, real stories, and ideas that can actually make a difference in our community. So thank you again for listening and sharing this space with me. Yeah, let's keep going.
So one of my main things that I struggled with was having my worth completely outside of myself. My worth was all in gymnastics. And
Mm.
I've had that my entire life. Like I have been known as the gymnast all growing up. I would leave school early, I would do all this stuff. I was like I'm from a very tiny town in Smithville, Missouri. So it's like me going D1 is a huge deal. So like my entire life identity is gymnastics. And one of the main things that I struggled with was having my worth out of it, even when I was in the gym. Like, when I was in the gym, I was like, if I had one bad term, I'm like, "Whoa, I don't have anything to fall back on. Like, this is all I have." So, I think one of the biggest things for me was finding my worth, which took a long time, and it took me hitting rock bottom, but was to find my own worth in myself before I even try to focus on gymnastics. So, the summer leading after my shoulder surgery, after that season, it was a very big summer full of changes because there's a lot of stuff with the athletic director changing, firing our coaches, all of this stuff. No one knew what would happen with our program, all this stuff. So that honestly gave me time to take a step back from gymnastics and really look deeper within myself and be like, what do I want to do? Like, where, like, am I okay continuing down this road of just like not knowing who I am with this sport, like kind of being mediocre, not fully, you know what I mean? And so I took a long time and I kind of found love for myself and realized that how I do in the gym isn't going to make it or break it. Like, it's going to be okay. I'm going to, like, there's so much more life outside of gymnastics. I think that was my biggest thing is like my entire life was in gymnastics. How can it end? What's going to be after that? So I just had to realize what was after that and make gymnastics more fun. That's my biggest thing is make it more fun.
Yeah, 3 things I noticed there. First, to kind of give credit back to moms, when I was picking college, my mom mentioned that I had to be okay at the school if I got injured and could never play my sport again. And I think that's a huge piece of advice for younger athletes who might be listening. Obviously, you wanna be happy in the program you're in athletically. Like, if you're an athlete, that's why you wanna go to college, right? Grades are there, but let's be honest, it's not why you're going when you're 17,
Hmm.
16, 18, however old. That advice from your parents, if you're blessed enough to have it or hear it from us, it strip the sport away. If there was no athletics program at all at your school, would you be happy there? And I was looking at a handful of schools across all divisions, and the one school that I could see myself at, I went to. Like, I just took the sports away from all of them, and I was like, "Ah, this one just feels right." So I was blessed in that sense. Second, from what you were saying, you talked about failures at the gym and then you being okay with those failures or during a routine in practice. I find it interesting as athletes, we're okay with I shouldn't say okay. We can rationalize physical failures because we can see them. Every time you go to the gym, you don't add 20 pounds to the bench press and just continuously get stronger, but that doesn't scare you from going back, right? You fell off the beam or the bar. I'm going to keep saying beam, so bear with me. If you fell off the bar flat on your back and got back up, like, yeah, it was terrifying, but you didn't let it stop you. Before I get into the third piece, why do you think athletes let mental hurdles stop them, but not physical ones?
I think that's a big question. I think that as an athlete, when you struggle mentally, there's just like it's not easy to just push through. Like with physical pain, as athletes, we're built to just keep going. Like we're built to push through the pain. If it's not a 10, cut your foot off type of pain, keep going. Like it's fine. We all grew up with those club coaches that didn't care if you were hurt, whatever. You know what I mean? But with a mental pain, I think it's different because it just cuts off everything. Like for me, it cut off my motivation, it cut off my want to do it, it cut off all of my confidence. Like I didn't know what to do. I just felt stuck. I was like, it's not going to get better. Like this is it. You know? And I think that for a lot of athletes, it's so hard to get past the phase of I'm not gonna it's not working. Like I'm
Mm.
sad. I'm not happy in the sport that I thought I would be happy. And like in my brain the entire time I was like, I spent my entire life, 17 years, 7 hours a day in the gym doing this sport to get to a D1 school, get my college paid for. I thought it would be everything. Like that was all of my life goals. When I was in fourth grade, telling people like what I wanted to do when I was older, do college gymnastics. Like, you know what I mean? That was it. And so when I got here and I was just so sad, like I was like, this is not what I thought it would be. Like I'm not happy. And so I think that for athletes, it's like once you hit that brick wall where you're just like, what did I do all of this for? There's not much more you can do to push forward like there is to do when you're in physical pain.
Yeah, and you can rationalize physical pain, right? People
Yeah.
and other people can rationalize physical pain if they and it's because you can see it, right? We're such a society as humans of if we see it, we believe it. You don't walk around with a bandage on your head because you have depression or anxiety, to be quite honest. I mean, I don't think you should. I probably would laugh, but if we did, right, it might be a
Depression.
little yeah, well, sometimes I feel like it's plastered on my forehead.
Me too.
More anxiety, but if we did, people might be more understanding and accepting. Now, I'm not saying to do that, right? Like if you can't perform because you have a cast on your wrist, like people are like, oh, she's sitting out because she's hurt. And we saw it in the Olympics with Simone and her vertigo symptoms, right? You can't necessarily see that. And people were up in arms about it. Honestly, I was for a little bit. I was like, oh, selfish. She took this spot, blah, blah, blah. Like I fell into the narrative. But it's like if she went there and broke her leg like Lindsey Vonn, who was celebrated. So it's like, okay, you have two of the best
Yeah.
in the world at their sport. One had a physical injury, and it's rationalized. One had a mental injury that had physical symptoms you just couldn't see, and it's just a mystery, right?
Mhm.
I to nail your point home of it's just so hard to get over the mental hurdles. The third thing I wanted to mention before we continue on is you said make it fun. And then you talked about how when you were struggling your most, it just you weren't happy, even though it was something you were happy in your entire life. You worked so hard for it. So then you play the game of like, what else am I going to do? Who else is it going to let down? Am I going to be more unhappy without it? Like, it's just this whole slew of questions. What did you do to make it fun? How can we make it fun when it just feels like there's none left?
Yeah. That's such a good question, and I honestly love this question. One of my things that I like to so your brain is gonna get loud. Like your brain is gonna be like, you're not doing enough, you're not blah blah. One thing I started doing for that is just saying shut up and then making a name for my brain blabber. And so I'll be like, shut up, Leslie. Like shut up. But anyways,
Leslie, not
yeah.
Karen, huh?
No,
Why
not Karen.
Leslie? Do we know a Leslie? Should we virtually
Well,
slap a
okay,
Leslie here?
no, I don't know a Leslie, but I just have always not like that name has always just given me a bad taste in my mouth, so that's the name for
Well,
it.
Karens are rejoicing worldwide now. We might have Leslie
Yeah,
be the new
Karen's
Karen.
that good too, but Leslie might be second up. But no, for to make it fun, I honestly like one of the things I've tried my like for a year to do is to take the pressure off. Like I put so much pressure on myself in everything I do. Like I'll be doing something for fun. I'll be like running outside for fun. And I'm like, why am I not beating my high record or whatever? Like why am I not doing it? Like I put pressure on everything I do, and so when I just tell myself, take the pressure off, be like you live on a rock, just have fun. And so it just allows me to have fun with my teammates and joke around and like laugh with my coaches. You know what I mean? Like in sports atmospheres, it can either be so serious and focused and pressure and all that, or it can be fun and lighthearted. And obviously, there needs to be a mix of the two. But when you kind of take the pressure off and just realize, like, I don't have this for much longer. I love the people around me. Let me just like enjoy it. It makes it really fun.
Yeah, again, that's such a difficult thing to understand. One, at your age, honestly, even at my age or at any age, I think people would argue, is just have fun with it. And in sports, especially, and then when you graduate sports into work, if you're not, I mean, and then sport becomes your work if you're lucky enough to continue to play. And again, I argue it kind of is at Division 1 now, anyways. Pressure and stress is going to happen. And there's going to be times where you create more for yourself, but if you can limit those times, if you can start to mitigate the negative thoughts or the very stressful thoughts, you will have more fun with it, even if the results don't come. Because I can guarantee if you're putting that much pressure and stress on yourself anyway, the results probably aren't coming regardless. Your body just is not built to handle that much pressure all the time. I want to know, obviously you mentioned you're on scholarship. What is that like for us non-scholarship athletes? Because I could go and mess up, and the worst thing I have to do is think about coach screaming at me, right? You could go and there's someone knocking on the door to take your scholarship away, your way of being at college. How do you not let that hold you back?
I think that that's something that I've definitely been scared of, especially after my first year and even my second year. With the coaches I had at the time, I didn't want to do it anymore. I was like, if this, this is my first ever experience at D1 athletics. This is like all I know. So this is all I think that's going to happen. So the entire time I was just like, I don't want to do it. It's not fun. I don't like, not that fun is the only, like, valuable or whatever, but it's like, it just was sad and not fulfilling at all. I just felt beat down constantly. And I was like, but if I don't do it, I don't have money to pay for college. Like, I was so worried for my mom if she would have to work, if she would have to pay for my college, if I would have to get a loan, all this stuff. And I was like, I more came out of it from do I want to be happy and be out of gymnastics, or do I want to stick with it and get the money? Thankfully, I stuck with it for a little bit, so I got new coaches, everything started to look up, and now with it, I think that if I could give advice to an athlete that's on scholarship, it's like, you can't control that. You can't control if you are gonna get your money taken, if you're gonna have it. All you can control is how hard you work, the energy that you're putting into the team, the impact that you're making, and that's it. I don't think that anyone should just be constantly worried, are they going to take my money? What's going to happen? I just think it's an unhealthy fear because it's scary. Like, it's terrifying. You have all of your life, like your life's college funds and everything in these people's hands. So, I don't know. I don't think it's worth stressing over for an athlete.
Yeah, that's such great advice. And I think it's not advice we hear often, us college athletes and just as humans in general, is to not stress over the money. And again, I'm not unaware. I do speak from a place of privilege. I never really had to worry about it, but I did take out college loans, so I understand the pressures of needing to pay back money. And now I'm on my own, off my parents' insurance. Like all of this, it's just right now that's my brain is spinning with that. So I appreciate that. Even someone who's not necessarily in your situation has not yet entered, obviously, you've given advice to, but I can speak to the people who are where I am or even after. It's like, take care of your necessities and the rest will fall into place if you apply yourself. You mentioned something really key there, the energy you bring and the effort you give. Those have to be as close to 100% every single time you step into whatever you're doing, your work, your school, your sport. If you bring those, the rest is out of your hands. Control what you can control. And I know it sounds way too simple to be true, but it is. And it's also ridiculously difficult. Can you tell us a time maybe when you didn't bring 100% to the team or to your routine and you kind of just thought back on it and was like, man, if I was given that chance again?
Yeah, 100%. There's been many times, I've struggled with mental health a lot since I've gone to college. And I think that every single time that my mental health has dipped, I haven't given up the same energy that I would. So there's been a few different times, like one, I remember that it was last preseason. Okay. So it was kind of the peak of when all the college, all that, or the coaching mishaps started happening, all that started getting reported. And I just remember I was so checked out. I was like, I already know my shoulder hurts. I already know that something is severely wrong with it. These coaches won't listen to me. Like, I was checked out. And when I think back to it, I think that I could have been there for a lot more of my teammates. I think I could have like spoken up more, been a voice, and really just encouraged a lot more people to keep going because we were all in the same boat. We were all just struggling to keep going and struggling to why were we so miserable in this gym? We were miserable. So that's one time that I think, I could have given a lot more. But at the same time, I don't want to, beat down on that 18-year-old girl because she was in pain too. Another time is last semester, there was a little dip where I was just like, I was really frustrated. I was like, just getting off this high of finding all this love for gymnastics. I was, at peak gymnastics. I've never done this good. Like I was killing it. And then, you get that dip. Of course, it's not going to be all linear. And I was just hitting that dip and I was just like, what is happening? Like I was just so frustrated, mad, angry. And I think that showed up in the gym where I was just like, I was just so serious, so stressed the entire 4-hour practice. I wasn't allowing myself to, like, goof around, have fun. So then that left me being like, "Oh my god, does the team not like me? Are the coaches mad at me?" All this stuff. And thinking back on that, it's like, it's a dip. You have had 4 months of so much progress. A week off is not gonna kill it, Just keeping up the energy because that's all you can control. If your body isn't working with you in your sport. If like a skill isn't clicking, if something isn't working, you can do all the stuff physically that you can to fix it. But mentally, if you're just like beating down and stressing and mad and angry, it's just going to make it worse. And I think that that's something after I sprained my ankle I had to realize too.
Yeah, interesting point. And I think a lot of people would ask themselves, what was I doing wrong to have this come down? I argue to the athletes I work with, what were you doing right when you were on your 4 month stretch of whatever sport, insert your sport here, excellence looks like? And the response I get most is, I don't know. And I go, exactly. Because you weren't overthinking. You were having fun with the sport. You were just existing. Of course, there were things you probably did. You probably got better sleep. You probably ate better. Your personal life was probably in a row. Like they're all related. But when it comes down to it, overthinking is a killer. And it's impossible to make it disappear 100%. But the more you can have your thoughts under control, primarily positive, a healthy amount of skepticism or negativity is obviously expected. If you don't have nerves, I'd be concerned. But if you can channel those nerves into stillness, into energy, whatever you need to turn them into to perform and get back to that excellence, that's how you do it. I always find it fascinating when I ask, what were you doing? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, good, do it again.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then they get mad and frustrated. And just tell me what to do. And I'm like, I can't tell you what to do because I'm not you. I can help you get there, but I can't tell you what to do. And before we move forward, I want to point that out as well. If you're listening and you're like, yeah, this is all fine and dandy, Caleb and Trinity, but I can't do that. One, I'd argue to try because I bet you have some version of that. And then two, it's individual, right? We all have struggles. Like your stress and my stress are both stress, but the reasons we have it are different. So I think it's cool to see your perspective on what caused you stress in your athletic world as I compare it to my own and as our listeners compare it to theirs. Is there one thing, though, that you think if you're stuck at the bottom, stressed out about anything in sport, that all athletes can do just to turn the ship in the right direction?
I think that when everyone kind of hits that point of just not getting there and just kind of overwhelmed and just kind of feel like they're hitting a wall, I think that one big thing that honestly changes your entire perspective is just go back and look at what you've done right. Is like look at your accomplishments, look at where you've gone, where you've been, and it might not feel big in the moment, but it's like for me personally, I never feel like I'm doing enough. I never feel like I'm doing enough. And then I look back and I'm like, I made it to a D1 school on full ride. I got a 4.0 GPA last semester. I made honors roll every year. Like I'm doing all the things. I'm growing my social media. I'm doing all this. But when you're in the moment, it doesn't feel like you've done anything. It feels like you've gotten nowhere. So I challenge everyone that's listening to just go back and just think about all of the good times and all like I just actually got my first ever tattoo that I'll show you that kind of is represented by that. But it says see the good and then it has a semicolon. But that is such a big thing for me is like our brains are wired to focus on the bad and focus on what's going wrong and focus on what they need to fix. But if you just take a second and focus on what's right in front of you, what's good, what you have, what you can be grateful for, I think it's life changing.
Yeah, and it almost brings you back to that pre-meet moment, that pre-game moment where everything just gets a little bit more still, a little bit more quiet, and a little bit more calm in a way that's inexplicable. So I appreciate that advice. It's such good advice, Trinity, to just find the good. I mean, I there's nothing else to say besides that. If you're at rock bottom right now, one, reach out to someone is willing to help, and two, just start to see the good in yourself because it exists. Even if it's a tiny little light in the bottom of your stomach right now, it's there. You just got to add some fuel to that fire so the rest of us can see it. And I'd love to see it. I want to open up the floor to you, though. Is there anything that we haven't chatted about in your story or in mental health in general that you just want to talk about? Actually, before that, I have one question. I don't want
Okay.
to forget this question. What is something that no one sees in the work you put in the nines that you get, in the trophies that you lift, that you yourself are just so proud of?
I think that this might be a little bit of a Debbie Downer. I have grown to be very proud of myself for how much I have overcome. came to college early, and there's a lot behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about of just my time here that I've struggled with a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, and just a lot of really, really dark moments. And once I'm able to kind of look at it and been like, I got myself out of that. Like I did it. And, just looking at my social media or just looking at my gymnastics and everything, you wouldn't guess that. Anyone's social media is a highlight reel. And I try to, I try to show light on the mental health aspects and stuff, but, people focus on the highlight reels. But I think that one thing is that you don't know what's going behind someone's doors. And like, for me, it's just, I'm very proud of how I was able to get myself back up after some really hard times.
Yeah, social media is a highlight reel. I think
Yeah.
you're spot on. Every once in a while, we scroll through and see
Yeah.
someone crying, but then it's usually really vulnerable, and then my feed gets filled with crying people, and no one wants to just watch
Exactly.
crying person after crying person, so we try to avoid it. But, I will open up the floor now for real this time to anything you wanna chat about here in the last couple minutes, or just fill us in on when's the championship coming up, when's all this fun stuff.
I am actually really excited about this entire year. It's been incredible. Team 3, we made it to ACC championships. We won against Cal, Stanford, NC State, all these amazing teams. That was one of the most beautiful moments of my life, seeing all my teammates so incredibly happy. We have regionals not this weekend, but next weekend on Thursday. That's our first day. But honestly, I am really excited about next year too. I'm excited to get back in the gym and like just start fresh. I love this is gonna sound really weird, but I love preseason. I think it's fun. I think it's like fresh start and just everyone gets to, create their own and build their own foundation. But yeah, I've been starting to get into a lot of modeling and, some new things, new hobbies that I've never been in. And I'm kind of finding the joy in life again, which feels so good. And I honestly, if anyone takes anything from what I say this entire podcast, it would be to find joy somewhere in your life. Just find it everywhere. Like just find the joy again. That's one of our team's mottos is joy.
Yeah, I love it, and I kinda wanna be transparent here. What's a hobby that you tried that you just freaking hate? Because I feel
Oh
like,
my God.
again, all we see is like, "Oh, I love this," like, "I love crafting things, I like the piano, I like modeling," but it's like, "Well, did you try swimming and hate it?" Like, what's going on? Sorry, swimmers, but that just came to my mind.
Honestly, there's been so many. Like, okay, guitar. I tried guitar. I'm not good at it. My hands just don't work and I get so frustrated. I'm trying to think. Okay, this is going to be controversial, but working out, like lifting weights, I find it quite boring. Okay, given I am still a D1 athlete, so I'm in the gym already 24/7, but I think
Don't
it's a
consider that a
little
hobby yet. Once
yeah.
once you're my age, come talk to me, and then we'll see if it's a hobby, but
Okay, deal.
I don't like doing it either, I just force myself to go.
I'd say crafts. I don't like crafts. I don't
As
like
in,
it
like,
unless I'm in the mood.
paper
Like
mache.
anything. Like, I can't think of a hobby right now, but, like, any crafting, I'm not patient enough for it.
But you're patient enough for designing.
Yeah, because I love it.
Yeah, but
I
see,
don't
that's
know.
that's such a small
Yeah.
detail that goes a long way, and that just is a testament to how much work you've done on yourself and getting to know yourself. Even within gymnastics, I'm sure there's specific events that you're just like, "Nope, not for me," but you still love
Mhm.
gymnastics, right? Or there's probably an event what's an event that you wish you could do that you're not good at, actually? I'm curious.
I wish I was a lot better at vault. Okay, so it's hard because you go through phases, but, like, growing up,
You're in
I was
your
always,
vault
like,
you're
the
in right now?
yeah, I'm in my vault era, but I was always, like, the tiniest in the gym, and I could just never punch the board, so it was, like, my vaults were, like, this high if the mat's this high, like, I was on my face every single time, but I think vault is so cool, so I'm like, "Oh, I wish I was better at that."
Interesting.
The leg events were always hard for me growing up because I have little chicken legs, but, you know,
Okay.
strong
So,
girl now.
like, trampoline, was that around when you were
No, floor and vault,
floor? Okay,
yeah,
floor and
but I
vault.
love dancing, so floor is super fun for me
Yeah, but see,
because I
that's one
like
of
to
those
dance.
things where for me, it's golf right now. Like, I love golf,
Ooh.
but I suck at it.
Okay,
I
wait, that's my hobby that I don't like.
golf?
I've tried it. I'm so bad at it.
Yeah, but that's what's fascinating to me is, like, I'm addicted to it, but I'm not good at it, and
Mm.
I'm not gonna say I'm okay that I'm not good at it because all my friends will tell you that's a lie, but, like, it's if I was this bad at soccer, I would be
Yeah.
pissed. you'd not hear from me again. But I think I'm so in love with golf. One, because it's outdoors. And I just like being outdoors, especially someone who lives
Mhm.
in the Northeast. We don't get that many days of sunlight. But secondly, it's just because it's something that I can work at that I don't have to be perfect at right away. As athletes, our entire career, we're expected to be perfect. And obviously not when you're young, but once you hit a certain level, it's like you need to be perfect on game day to win. If you slip up once, it's a tenth of a point deduction and there goes first place. Or it's one goal and you lose, or you miss a free throw and you lose by one. I just think I'm so fascinated with golf because one, it is a sport, and two, I want to get better at it, but three, I don't lose sleep. Like I just
You don't need to.
no. And I'm just I think I'm addicted to that feeling of doing something I love without having to feel the need to just be perfect, as you mentioned so many times throughout this episode.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's kinda how I feel about piano. It's like, at first, it was super hard for me because I was like, "I'm not good. Like, why am I like, I'm not good at singing or doing piano, like, why do I keep doing it?" But, the more you do it, it's like, I can do something because I just find it fun. I actually
Mm.
don't have to be the best, or I don't have to post it and get all the likes, and I don't have to do it. Like, I can just do it for me. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, do it for me. I like that.
Mhm.
I just got chills
Ooh.
just thinking about it, right?
Yeah,
But
that's a
yeah,
good
no,
one.
I kind of want to just ask you the final question. I mean, we've gone through so much on this episode. I think one, it's a lot to take in, but two, I think we hit a core need of a lot of people in our community, Trinity. So I appreciate you for that. But I do want to ask you the final question we ask just about every guest here on the Make Mental podcast. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. If there is one person in the entire world who needs a hug from you right now, who would you give it to and why?
Who would I give it to? Okay. I've said it so many times, but I think I would give it to my mom. Like, this woman has been by my side, obviously, like, my entire life, but, like, she's been there for me when no one has, and she's helped me through things that are unimaginable, and she has 4 daughters, so she's honestly raised us to be strong, independent women in a world of, not a lot of that sometimes, and I think she's one of the strongest women I've ever met in my entire life, so I would give it to her for sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure she feels it and gives it right back. So from the sounds of it,
Hopefully.
no, definitely from
No,
the sounds of
definitely.
it.
Definitely, she loves me.
She probably will grab all 4 of you guys and just pull you in.
Exactly. I actually have a picture on my wall right now of that.
Nice. But, yeah, no, I just wanna thank you for your time, for sharing your wisdom. I'm so excited to see what you do with the rest of your collegiate career. Who knows? Maybe we'll see you at the Olympics one day. But if that happens, we're definitely having you back on again. We're flying out to wherever it is, and we're getting some in-person footage, but we really appreciate your time. For those who connected with you, Trinity, where can they find you and follow your journey?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram and TikTok at trend.web on Instagram and trendweb with 3 Bs on TikTok. Also, my DMs on Instagram are always open. I get a lot of people that come to me about a lot of different things that I love helping girls out with, whether it's eating disorders or mental health or anything. Like, especially in sports of gymnastics, it's such a hard and honestly lonely sport. So if you ever need anything, my DMs are open too.
Yeah, I love that, and we'll link them down below for easy access. And, yeah, as always, thank you for listening to this episode of the Make Mental Podcast, and remember, you're beautiful and you're worth it.
Love that.